This is the pattern you're going to need. If you follow the link in the description box down below, it'll take you to where that pattern is. So this is the template. I'm going to get a pair of scissors and we're going to cut this out. Okay, so we're just going to follow along this line here and we're going to cut them both out. These are our two sections here. Let's start with A1. So this is foundation paper piecing that we're going to be doing our mini quilt on. So basically we need to start at A1 and A2. So we're going to be folding this section over right here and we're going to get our two pieces together. So we have a white section and a yellow section on this part of our mini quilt. And you're going to be doing everything on the back. So you want to make sure that your fabric is covering this whole area, including the seam allowance. I'm going to fold this forward so we can see what we're doing here. And then you're going to place the yellow section underneath that white section. So you need to make sure that that yellow section is going to be correct when you flip it back, and it will be. Another point to make is the white needs to be face up, yellow needs to be face down if you are using the print. And we've got that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Flip it up and then we're going to sew right across here between the A1 and A2 of this mini quilt template. So these are the settings that I use when I do a mini quilt. So we have a straight stitch. And we're going to do that stitch at a 1.6. Just because it's a narrow little area, we want them stitches to be a little bit narrower instead of like wider. On my sewing machine here, I haven't got it on right now, there's going to be my regular foot. And then the needle is a Microtex 9014 sewing needle, bobbin thread, and I'll also be using a regular polyester white thread. My foot is on and I'm just going to start sewing down this straight line. I do like to reverse and then go forward and then reverse again. Clip all these loose threads as you go. And then you can flip your work back and then turn it over. So the next section I have is this A3 section. So we fold this back and then we're going to cut this away. It's going to be cut at a 1/4 inch. Cut this off. Open the paper back up again, and then we're going to get our next section for our mini quilt, A3. Making sure the fabric is face down. Sew across. Once again, you flip that fabric back. Turn everything over. Now we're concentrating on A4 of our mini quilt. Fold that paper over and trim. Get our next piece of fabric, which is yellow. Place it over the top, right sides down, and stitch. Open that out. Thought I wasn't going to have enough there, and I don't. I generally have like this little bit. So like I said, always, whenever you're doing this, you kind of don't want to skimp on your fabric. You kind of want to make sure it goes all the way over. I'm not going to worry about this because I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. So I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to start trimming all the sides. That's what happens when you're trying to like say fabric or whatever, like sometimes it just isn't quite big enough. And if that hadn't been completely over that area where it actually needs to be, then I would have had to have picked it out. And trust me, you don't want to be picking these threads out and then you end up wasting the fabric. So always make sure that you have enough fabric to cover the area as well as the seam allowance. So I'm just going to trim these bottom bits off with a pair of scissors. And obviously I don't need to do it that way. Maybe just a little bit there. Congratulations, this is one half of your mini quilt done. Let's do the other half. So once again, we are starting with a B1 and a B2. Fold this over. I have to fold it again on the other side as well. So the B1 is going to be at the back and the B2 is going to be on top. Right sides facing. Stitch. And a trim. And a 1/4 inch. And a flip. Turn it over. Be free on the mini quilt. Flip. Trim. Get our next white section for a mini quilt. Face down. Turn it over. Stitch. Once again, you're going to flip. Then we're going to turn around. Next section of our mini quilt is B4. Fold over. Give it a little trim. Get our yellow section. Turn it around. Stitch. Now we're going to line the block up so it looks like that. That's exactly the shape we're looking for. And we are going to take out the paper. This will come out very easily. Once again, I'm going to flip it up. And you can turn everything around. And you are going to trim. We're going to take this to the iron and we're going to press. What I recommend you do is that you line up this central line here on this. You're going to nest this down right in the center. And then you're going to make sure that your other seams, but that hasn't got a seam, has it? So just make sure that you're doing that center seam right here. And then you're going to sew along at 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to set mine to a stitch number 30 on my Baby Lock Soprano. I'm not paid no sponsor to say anything. And I'm going to put my 1/4 inch foot with guide on. Now once you've done that, you're going to open it up. Ta-da! Isn't it just beautiful? Press it down. Starting with your left and right borders, attach them. Open them up and press. Do exactly the same thing with the top and the bottom borders. Now you're going to push that back and press. This was stitch number 6 on the Baby Lock Soprano and I think it's super cute. I use it quite a lot. And I'm going to trim. All the way around. Now we're going to do a quilt sandwich. So you're going to have the backing fabric face down. You're going to have the batten on top. And you have your little mini quilt top on top of that. Now I'm going to do some decorative stitches across this, holding all the sections into place. Okay, let's put the binding on. Trust me, don't do your binding any wider than 2 inches because it becomes just too bothersome. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach this binding and we're going to stitch it right here where this border is. Don't do any more than that because we need some extra room later on. So that is stitched into place. So what we're going to do now is pull the binding up, and then you're going to fold it back on itself, and then you'll proceed and sew all the way down your miniature quilt. Now we're at the next corner. You're going to flip it up, fold it back on itself, and sew all the way down. We're at the next corner. Flip up, fold it over, and then sew all the way down. Now we're on that last corner. So what we want to do is flip it up, fold it back, and then once again just do like 3 stitches, just securing this into place. Okay, so we have this left hand side and this right hand side. What we're going to do is we're going to cut just a little bit over, like halfway, like so. And then I use this binding tool. I will put a link in the description down below. That'll be an Amazon link, and if you choose to purchase from that link, I may get a small commission at no extra cost to you. So basically this has a number 2 on it because we did it 2 wide, and I'm going to place that on the edge here, and you fold that over. Make sure that this is nice and flat, and you turn this in half, just fold it over. And where that 2 is, you're going to trim it. Just like that. Next thing we're going to do is the top one here is going to go straight up, and you're going to fold it out. That goes up and down. And then this one goes left and right, and they both go right sides together. So we're going to pin them into place. I'm going to use some clips. Now it's going to be easier when we fold our mini quilt in half. I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to work from the back because it seems to work better for me. And we're going to lay this nice and flat. So what we can do now is use that same tool that we just had, and we're going to get this black line on the edge here. So we're going to have to take this off. Make sure that you have a pen handy. Now we're going to draw a straight line from this corner here to this corner under here. So I'm going to take my clips off. I'm going to try and make sure that it doesn't move on me. Make sure everything's flat. Put the black edge so it's going across with the fabric, like here. And at the bottom here, I'm going to go and draw a line across. Now, we don't want this to move on us, so I'm going to clip that back. And then you're going to take this to a sewing machine and sew straight across this line. Once that is done, you're going to cut away the bulk. Take this clip off, and it will just fold down nicely. So just go ahead and stitch all the way across. If you have all these bits here, just cut them off before we go into the next part. Now we're going to flip this to the back. I generally like to just pin it. And now we will hand stitch this into place. I hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, comment, like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.